Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you all again. I'm back now after a bit of a break here. I needed some time just to step away from the channel. Thanks for your understanding, but I'm back here now with my 1 week review of the Redmi Note 8 Pro in this Ice Jade. And I gotta say, this phone started off in a pretty good spot for me. I had some pretty good feelings about it, but as we've gone through this week, I've been having my doubts. And as you've seen from if you do follow me on Twitter, I had a tweet that kind of blew up last night talking about the performance of this phone. And is the Mediatek G90T that was included in this phone a misstep from Xiaomi? Now, I've just been using this phone for the last week, and I gotta say, there's certain aspects of it that do get sluggish. The main one that I feel day to day is using the keyboard. So when I type stuff on this keyboard, it sometimes will be a bit slow. Sometimes the keys will just delay to press. Now, I'm not saying navigation is slow. It's generally been pretty good, but there's just a general sluggishness that I've been having using this phone. So when I'm in Twitter, generally I am able to scroll pretty well, but showing you here once again, typing stuff, there's a little bit of lag that happens. So let's see if I can write something out here. Hi guys, it's from, and I don't know if you notice it there, but there's a little bit of lag on the keyboard. Now, beyond that, just using the phone day to day, I still think it does a pretty decent job. And let me share some quick kind of updates here on battery life. As you see now, GSAM Battery Monitor is reporting a much more precise reading of what the results are. With this 4,500 milliampere battery, it took in a screen on time of 8 hours, 25 minutes. That's more in line to what I expected it to be. So that's not too bad, but it's also not so great either. And so the main question, I think, regarding that tweet was the efficiency of the G90T. Calling it into question, Mediatek is one aspect of the fact that this phone may not be as efficient. Mediatek as a brand also has that negative perception, but I think it is a chip architecture issue. As I mentioned in my tweet, this is a 12 nanometer process. And because it's 12 nanometer, it is not going to be as efficient. There'll be more power draw, more battery use with this 12 nanometer chip versus, let's say, the Snapdragon 710 that's using the 10 nanometer process, and the 730 that's using even the 8 nanometer process. Now, looking at, for example, Antutu benchmark, I just actually ran the benchmark, and a main thing I was looking at here was the temperature of the battery, the temperature of the CPU, and showing you here how it did. Now, in the benchmark, it actually did a pretty decent job, and look at this, the score is actually higher than the one I previously mentioned of 220,000. Now it's much more in line with the last update in that 282,000 range. So that is a positive thing here on this Redmi Note 8 Pro. But I think the main point here is that there is a heating issue with this phone, and I have definitely felt it when I've been playing one thing and one thing alone, and that is Pubg. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to just play a little bit of Pubg here, and I'm going to be monitoring this battery temperature. I've downloaded CPU-Z as well. That's going to be tracking it. I have GSAT battery monitor that's showing me here the temperature of the CPU. There it is. So let's start with some Pubg action here, and we'll be monitoring the battery as we do that. All right, and showing you here, yes, this can play up to Ultra and HDR, so I'm going to keep it exactly that way. But I do think these were the settings that I ran last time that got this phone really hot. And I didn't check the temperatures last time, so I want to do this now. You saw it there with HDR and Ultra settings. How high is this temperature going to get? Let's have a look. But there's always time for a classic Frankie Tech swim test. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. And I'm always going to do that if I find myself in this screen of the game. Let's look at the plane job now. Everything's looking fine. And now I want to show you guys here the game booster portion. CPU is at 30%, so it's not doing too bad right now. 41 FPS. But what I really want to check here is the battery. How is it doing? 32, let's see, 55.6. So let's get down to the surface, get some guns, get some action. All right, so I'm in the game, and the one thing that I noticed, if you look at some of the teardowns of this Redmi Note 8 Pro, there is a coil that kind of runs like in this direction, and the area of most heat was being affected right here at the top, and that area is definitely getting hot already. Looks like I got someone I got to kill here. Take that. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, 1 kill here. And that explains a lot why in the previous gameplay, when I was holding this up here, I was feeling this upper area much hotter than the rest of it. So the rest of the phone might feel pretty cool to the touch, but if you put your hands right in this area where the coil goes, it is getting hot already. We haven't even started the major gameplay. Now, I think one of the big surprises with this phone is that it has been labeled as a gaming phone, and yet you're using a 12 nanometer chip here that is heating up a bit more than some of the other processors that are being used. This has a lot of raw power, and when it comes to benchmarks, this phone is definitely doing great. 280,000 Antutu for a phone of this price is a really good score. But there are just things related to Mediatek that I feel are causing problems here. I haven't been able to run the Geekbench scores yet. You know, there's definitely some sort of overheating that's going on, and the real question now comes down to, is this a software issue? Can this be resolved in software, or is this something that is just indicative of the Mediatek G90T? I'm starting to believe it's more the latter, that it is more indicative of this chip and the 12 nanometer process, which is an older process compared to, let's say, the 8 nanometer you've seen on the, let's say, Snapdragon 730. And I can definitely tell you it's getting real hot right now. Let's check the temperature of the CPU. 56 degrees Celsius CPU temperature. So it definitely is getting up there. And I think the main point here is that, is this phone actually cooled enough where it's going to be able to run for longer periods of time for, I guess, in a more efficient manner? And I think the answer is probably no, that's not the case. Well, let's see if I can get one more kill here. Take that. Oh yeah, 2 kills on the Redmi Note 8 Pro. And so then this really begs the question, guys, is this phone the one to get? Or would you be better off considering other options, or maybe even the regular Redmi Note 8? That one's coming in with the Snapdragon 665, and that processor should be a bit newer than the 12 nanometer process on this phone. There you go. 4 kills in short order. And let's feel it now. Gosh, this is what I didn't feel last time, guys. And I think it was because the first time I did PUBG on this phone, I was not playing at Ultra. At Ultra, this phone gets hot. And you can already see the CPU and battery temperatures right there. This thing is getting very hot in this upper area. And because of the proximity to the camera module here, that is getting hot as well. So I think we can kind of say, at least for now, that overheating is a concern on this Redmi Note 8 Pro. The main point here is that the Mediatek G90T processor is a misstep. I believe truly that if they had included a Snapdragon 712, I think we might have even been fine with a Snapdragon 710 in this phone. I think this was a moment where maybe an incorrect decision was made to go with Mediatek. Mediatek is just not a brand that people trust. And there have been issues in the past that even I've had with Mediatek processors. I generally tried to avoid or even reviewing or recommending Mediatek phones. And a lot of you guys sometimes ask me, go look at the Eula phones, go look at the Umidigis, all these different kind of sub-brands. They all kind of use a lot of these Mediatek processors. I generally try to avoid those. So is this a mistake? Is this something that Xiaomi will regret? Well, we'll wait and see. We're not 100% certain. We got to give this more time. But at least for now, 1 week in, I'm definitely having my concerns. But that's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. Look, there's a lot to like about this phone. From the design, I love the color of this phone. The camera seems decent, at least from my experience. We'll be sharing that full comparison very soon. And I think there's other aspects of the design. This does feel like a budget OnePlus 7, which for the price is a good thing. But hit me up with comments, questions you have now 1 week into my testing with this Redmi Note 8 Pro. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech, signing off. Have a good one.